From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin Energy.
The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, they're up, they're down, they're up, they're down. Do we think Mike Norvell even knows what to expect week to week from his squad? This week's opposing fan base might be fed up even more with their coach than Florida State fans. Are there any parallels? And should the folks who have been around this program for decades be able to accurately predict where this thing is going to land when all is said and done? Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. warchantbogo, your promo code. When you go to aforementioned website and use aforementioned promo code, you will buy one and get one free. And you'll be like, why didn't I do this earlier? Why didn't I do this sooner? Enjoy up to 7 hours of energy, body-nourishing vitamins that will accelerate your metabolism, all for a healthy gut as well. You're not taking down a 16-ounce can of carbonated nonsense packed with sugar and gosh knows whatever else. It's just caffeine, vitamins, and nutrients, no sugar, non-GMO, made in America. It's Vitamin Energy, everybody. Works faster and longer. Give it a shot. warchantbogo, your promo code. Buy one, get one free. warchant.com. No promo code needed over there. $1 for a week and a year subscription to The Athletic. I still don't get how it all works, but it's out there, everybody. Come take advantage of it. Nobody took advantage, Corey, of the over-under contest. We're opening it up to everybody these days now, not just subscribers, but also the rank and file out there. Nobody hopped on the one for the Wake Forest game. Some pretty good numbers you had on there, which I don't have totally in front of me right now. But what I liked was the Stanford game. I had to finally go back and submit that one for the winner. And my favorite was the Vanilla Connection. James Williams, Blake Nicholson, A.J. Cottrell combined tackles.
Yeah.
You set it at 8.5 for the Stanford game. Cottrell had 0. James Williams had 1. Blake Nicholson had 7.
Okay. All right, Blake.
Right under it. So Corey Clark knows all. He picked Florida State to beat Wake Forest. He's here right now, everybody. What's up, Corey?
What's up, buddy? How are you doing?
I'm all right. I feel like I need to just exhaust you today of all your optimism so that when you go to headlines, you will not tandem jump my guy Jeff Cameron. I feel like you and Ira are making a turn on your outlook for this season, for this program. And
it's a big win. Hey, it was a big win Saturday night.
It's
a big win.
Mildly concerned. I saw the David Hale tweet about big play percentage discrepancy or something. I don't know the amount of big plays you've allowed on offense that you've performed and then maybe allowed. And Florida State is on this plot chart close to Alabama and Georgia. And Ira pointed that out, but also said that, listen, it's if you can divorce yourself from the 2-10, you will realize that this team is close. And you asked Mike Norvell that on Monday too, just about, and you mentioned it here on the program. You cannot argue that this team is better, but it's just there's so much into it, and then it feels like we're going down a different path than we thought we'd be going down a week ago, and I don't know what to think anymore, man. It's a scary world out there. Can't wait for headlines though. Stoked.
Yeah, look, man, we'll be saying different things next week if it's Clemson. I think when you look because if he goes 5-7, you can't run it back. 6-6, I know a lot of people don't want to run it back. Even 8-4, a lot of people don't want to run it back with this coaching staff and with him. I just think there is some nuance there that is just more than the record for this season. Last season, they were not unlucky. They were not a good football team. They were literally one of the worst teams in the United States, and that is absolute. The numbers backed it up. The records backed it up. They went 1-10 against Division I teams. This year, they're not that. They are not one of the worst teams in the country. FPI has them as the 24th best team in the country. Even FBI, the Bruce Femrau stuff. And these are all metrics. The record's the record. I get it, folks. But they are not an embarrassment this season. They have improved a pretty substantial margin. We can't be so black and white that it's just the record and nothing else matters when you're judging the improvement of a program. Not when you're judging even a head coach, but when you're judging from last year to this year, the product on the field is obviously better.
But it was so horrible last year that it's impossible to think it could not be better.
That is such a low bar to clear. But it is they've also, if you look at these metrics and you care about them at all, and I know a lot of people don't, the record is the record. They've been a bit unlucky. Remember in 2021 where I kept saying they were a bowl team that just didn't go to a bowl?
You're right.
Like they had made substantial improvement in 2021. It was obvious when you watched the final 8 games of that season. That was a much better football team. They were getting better. They were a bowl team that just lost a dumb game to Jacksonville State. And when Jordan Travis was healthy, they were, one of the better teams in the ACC the last half of the season. You can squint your eyes and say that about this team too, because that win was so dominant, and they did beat Alabama. Like there have been some positives in this season, but you don't get to ignore 4-game losing streaks either. And at the end of the day, results do matter. But it will be interesting, but just because of where we are, the mistake they made signing him to the $50 million extension, I think even if you agreed with it at the time, and most people did, in hindsight, it's an obvious mistake, just a cataclysmic mistake for that contract. It's an albatross. If it's close to being decent, which I think this season is, it isn't yet. You've got 4 games left, and you can lose them all, and then we won't even be having this conversation. But if it's close to being decent, and the alternative is to pay $100 million to bring somebody else in, with no guarantee they're going to be great either, that's where it gets dicey. That's where it gets it's not just black and white. There is some gray area there. There is some nuance there. That's all. And there won't be any. Here's my opinion. If they win out, there is no gray area. He's staying. If they lose out, there's no gray area. He's leaving. 2-2 in the middle there. There is some gray area. Sad to say for some of you folks, but there is. There is. They've shown improvement. They got some guys now that you would like to keep around. You've actually got a bit of a cornerstone, some foundation here, some foundational pieces. This coaching staff, I think, is much better than at least at evaluating and developing than the last one. So there are some reasons to be optimistic. Right now, we're still on the heels of 9 straight losses in the ACC. And that doesn't go away. I mean, it does go away. The streak's over. But those memories aren't in the rear view, man. For a lot of people, the rear view, those memories are still right overhead. And so I get that frustration. But I think there is an avenue, again, like I said too many times on yesterday's show, where he can keep his job. But I don't want people to think that like I think he should, or that I'm optimistic that he will, because why would I be? But it's not over yet. There is some stuff still left to this season. And let's judge this season at the end of the season, what it looks like. Would it be better if they went 8-4 with a loss in September, a loss in October, and 2 in November? Or if they were split up more, or is 8-4 just 8-4? Yeah, I don't know. That Stanford loss is a killer.
It is. Yeah, just, poor guy you having to write columns for 2 weeks, right? It wasn't just like after the Stanford game, but even going into the Wake Forest game, there wasn't anything positive to report, right? So we're getting, a lot of columns, a lot of editorials about this feels closer to the end than it does getting ramped back up onto the roller coaster and enjoying ourselves. And then now it's like after one game, we're having to, listen, hey, there's some nuance here. And I don't disagree with you. The maddening part about this too, Corey, is after speaking to him on Monday, do you think Mike Norvell knows what team is going to show up against Clemson in Death Valley? He talked about that they have big expectations for this upcoming game, and he thinks they'll play their best. But does he even know? Because it's just so crazy how this from week to week you really don't know. I feel good about the Virginia Tech game. The other 3 games, total coin flips, maybe 60-40 going against you. Do you think he feels they turned a corner, or is he just as lost as most of us on the outside are?
Yeah, man, it's impossible to answer. I don't know. The way they did talk about those practices, in that it did carry over, that is encouraging. Because they did say they were really good practice. They were competitive practices, spirited practices. And that transition from the week to the weekend looked more like they were hoping to see for the last 7 or 8 weeks, or 4 weeks. But no, he doesn't know. And also, Clemson's got some talent, and that's a hard place to play.
Yeah.
And they've lost like 6 straight games to Power 4 opponents at home. Well, that streak's going to end at some point. That's the problem he gave himself with the dumb loss to Stanford. I think losing to Clemson at Clemson is always excusable, even if they're having a down year. You guys watch those games. They have talent. That quarterback's an NFL quarterback. They got legit receivers. They got dudes on the defensive line and linebacking core that can play. And one of their corners is going to be a draft pick. Like, they got talent. They have not put it all together, which, again, as Norvell said on Monday, and he wasn't saying it like defending himself, more like defending Dabo. He's like, college football is hard, man. And it is. Everybody loses. Everybody's in close games in the fourth quarter except Ohio State and Indiana. Everybody else loses and loses multiple times and comes close to losing more times than that. Clemson's just found a way to lose all those games. But they are not a horrible football team. It's not like they're out getting pummeled. They lost to SMU at home, but Klubnik didn't play.
Right.
Now, that doesn't excuse the defense. I don't know what's going on with the defense. It doesn't make
sense.
It's
secondary. It's what it really
is. Yeah. But they're like, and that's another thing, is like, are you going to be able to take advantage of that? Tommy can hit some throws, but if they just shade some coverage to Deuce and take away your running game, good luck. It's just it's not going to be easy. I don't know. I think they could come out and play focused and play physical and play fast and still lose. Because Clemson might play well. I think if both teams play well, Clemson's going to win the game. You're going to have to hope that you play well and they don't.
Yeah, there's going to have to be
you don't
degrees.
play well, but they play horrible.
There's going to have to be degrees, right? I don't even think if you play 1 degree better than they do. I think it's going to be multiple.
No, yep. Yeah, man, it's hard to win there. You won there twice in 20 years.
At night, too, and this is the first time since we've been doing this that they have a night game. And now listen, the first time we went up there was 19, so that was obviously a horrible season. 2021, not great shakes. 2023, man. I think they might have lost to Duke to start that year. So that was a noon game. 21 was a noon game. Maybe it was a 3:30 game. Yeah,
it was 3:30, I think. Yeah,
7:30. How did this? And then the Virginia Tech game is at 7th.
Hey, baby, Doak's going to be lit up.
That is crazy.
Doak's going to be lit up again. I like it. They get to use those LED lights and the cool red and blue lights. A lot of night games here at the end. And so, look, man, there have been some. It's just I'm of the opinion right now. I'm here to give my opinion, my honest opinion. It doesn't matter that I like the guy. It doesn't matter that the players like the guy. I don't think Mike Norvell should be the head coach after this season.
Ooh.
As we sit here today, I don't think so. I think it's year 6, man. It's year 6, and I think the real travesty was what happened last year. This year has just been a bit of some bad luck. Honestly, I think it's a good enough team to compete for the ACC. It's not good enough to win a national championship. And if they got more good players, that's, again, that goes back to my whole argument. You've got to get somebody in here that brings better players in. Consistently across the board, on the line of scrimmage, but all over the field, have more special to when things aren't going well. And this isn't a great example now because they've lost 2 out of their last 3 games. But you can just give the ball to Malachi Tony, and he's going to go win you the game. Or Reuben Baines going to make a play in the backfield to win a game. Or Haynes King. Or name another ACC player that's special. The Isaac Brown kid at Louisville who's now hurt. You've got to go get – you've just got to go get better players, more NFL players. Because even if you have those, as Clemson's proving, right, it doesn't guarantee success. It just makes your margin for error, but where you don't have to play clean. You can still just kind of Keon Coleman your way to a couple of wins. That's fun. Or Jared Verse your way, to Braden Fisk your way to a couple of wins. That's not really where this program is right now, and I'd like to get it back there. But even if you bring in somebody that brings in all types of talent, loads of talent, you're not going to just blow everybody out. You're going to be in some close games, and you're going to lose 1 or 2. That's just the reality of college football. He doesn't get the benefit of the doubt because of last year, and I'm just not convinced. I think year 6 is enough as we sit here right now. If he goes 8-4, I'll sing a different tune, and I'm allowed to change my mind.
You are. Yep.
I am, because that would tell me something. They finish it on a 5-game winning streak or winning 4 out of 5 after that debacle, and you can tell me that these guys are coming back. This core group is coming back. You can tell me maybe not the quarterback because he can't get right healthy maybe, but you've got somebody in line that can be a really good quarterback, like a All-American type or an NFL quarterback. There would be a reason to be optimistic and encouraged. But if this thing limps to 6-6, that's a hard thing to sell. Don't know if Gus is going to be here. Don't know if Tommy's going to be here. Don't know if Deuce is going to be here. And the whole offensive line is leaving, and you just got to reset again. And so, where I am right now, I don't think it's the Florida State football program. To me, right now, even after that win, needs a reset. It can't keep languishing like this. It just can't. Like you said, it's not even. You don't even know what you're watching. You don't even know what you're watching. There just legitimately is no reason to play so poorly against Stanford, and that's the one, man. If they hadn't lost to Stanford, that's the one where I was just done. Pitt.
Yeah, you're right, but Pitt was.
I just think that's the one. But Pitt is Pitt's a good team. They're 7-2.
Not even ranked.
And you had
disrespect.
Unbelievable. ACC can't just get in. One of Pitt's losses was in overtime to that bad West Virginia team where they literally blew the game.
Yeah, they choked.
And I don't know what the other one was.
Louisville,
but they should be 8-1.
Against Louisville, against a really good Louisville team.
Yeah, man. I don't understand why Pitt is getting disrespected like that. But they're 7-2, and they're undefeated since they started that quarterback. That's a tough matchup. That's a tough team. That's a good team. Also, you didn't get to play them at night. You played them at noon. In the midst of a 3-game, it was your 2 straight losses at noon. There was no crowd. I mean, the crowd was there, but it wasn't like it was even Saturday night against Wake. It's different at night. Also, Deuce got hurt. Squirrel didn't play. Pittman didn't play. Like, you were down to nothing. You were running Gelsey and Tariq Mallory out there in enormous plays in that game. I don't lose sight of that. That does matter. That's bad luck. You ran out of players, and you're not good enough to overcome it. That I can excuse. The Miami game I can excuse, not the way they started, but a loss. And then the Virginia game. That's an 8-1 Virginia team, man. They're 12th in the country. No shame in that either. The Stanford one is where he lost me. He lost me. That is just a loser's loss. That is a loss that losers have. And I almost get madder thinking about it.
And you knew you had to have it, right?
Yep.
You knew you had to have that game.
Yep. And you get madder because of how they played against Wake Forest. If they play like that against Stanford, they win by 24 points.
Oh, going away, yeah.
At least, right? Like, Stanford's better, or Wake's better than Stanford.
Much better.
But you immediately let them go down the field on their first drive, because why wouldn't you? They get to have a 16-play drive. You give the freshman quarterback a 94-yard drive with a couple of bad penalties. The offense scores 1 touchdown, and it's a helicopter run by the quarterback. Just everything about Sam Singleton can't get on the field. Maybe he would have made a difference, because apparently he's your number 1 running back right now, but he couldn't play in that game where you desperately needed a jolt. And so that's the one where it's like, that's the one I can't get past. Now, at the end of the season, if they've ripped off these wins, maybe I can. Right now, that's the biggest problem, because if they had won that game like they should have, they're staring right at a 7-5 season. Maybe 8-5 with a bowl win, and you're like, okay, saw some encouraging signs. Now let's keep it going. Let's keep it going, Mike. But that Stanford loss is so inexcusable that it's hard to know. It's hard to ever trust again, right? It just is. Yeah, it's hard to ever trust again. If you can have a team that looks that bad, or poorly prepared for a game of that magnitude, which it was for their season and certainly for that coaching staff, it just doesn't give you a lot of hope that it will ever be normal and consistent. It will always be bipolar, and that's not a way to live life. But, again, ask me 4 weeks from now. I was very encouraged by the way they played against Wake. I do not think it comes close, clearly, to erasing the disaster that was Palo Alto. It just doesn't. And that's where the people that make these decisions, which are not Aslan and I, or are you listening to this? I guess there's some big money people that maybe listen to this, that it is your decision. Do you trust that he's going to be – is he the right guy for 2026? Is he the right guy for 2027? Is he the right guy to lead this program for the foreseeable future? Or are you just, wary of cutting a check? Because you got to do what's right for the program. Is this guy right for the program? I love so many things about him. I really do. But losing to Stanford can't happen. these kind of losing streaks can't happen, and they keep happening. So with that said, I don't think he's done, though. Got to win.
Yeah.
The Wake Forest game, maybe it was a stay of execution, but I do think it's interesting, right? Like, do you think they're like me? You think Alford and Peter Collins and those guys and President McCullough are like me, like he can still coach for his job?
Yeah,
or are they
like
pretty
him.
much assuming but like they have to be assuming they're going to lose more games. They just can't go into it blind and full of hope and optimism that he's going to go rip off a 5-game winning streak. Every loss from here on out is maybe a career ender at Florida State, and it's certainly more magnified to the point where the seat just gets hotter and hotter where you can't sit down. So I wonder if they're just holding out hope and crossing their fingers, are they still, progressing with a plan to replace him? Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy times we live in, Aslan.
What Corey Clark does know is that his favorite sports bar in all the land, not just Tallahassee, is a Corner Pocket Bar and Grill located at 2475 Appalachia Parkway, cptallybar.com, the website, daily lunch specials from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., and weekdays, happy hour goes from 4 to 7 p.m. On Sundays, just rip it up all day long. All day long happy hour on Sundays. Usually live music going on Friday. If you're an MMA fan, right below the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill is the 7th Hill Tap Room. That's a Corner Pocket property, if you will. You can always go down there and hang out as well. Delicious food, ice cold drinks, meet and greets during home game weekends. Hang out after the game. Corey Clark usually makes cameos late at night, even after those night games in Doak. Finds his way back to the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Let it be your salvation.
Was even there.
Did he go?
Irish Chauffeur wasn't even there. Was even there after the big win. He wanted to go celebrate.
Nice.
It's a big dub.
Nice.
Felt good. So yeah, we got to be there for like an hour, and it was fallback.
Oh,
so we got an extra 30 minutes or 40 minutes or so in there. So that was fun. But yeah, Corner Pocket, you can't beat it. You're gonna have all the games on Saturday. Your game is at night. Go in there during the day. Watch all the other bigger games. You're gonna see them on multiple TVs.
Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Why would you wander around a warehouse store looking for paint when you could just swing by your neighborhood Ace? In addition to Ace's award-winning service, we have top-rated paint brands. Plus, our color matching technology allows us to match any color. So stop wandering and start painting. Head to your neighborhood Ace today.
In Crawfordville, your home convenience store is Ace Home Center and NAPA Auto Parts, located at 2709 Crawfordville Highway. We're back. It's Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy, warchantbogo, your promo code. Use it. We're going to have Larry Williams from Tiger Illustrated on the show tomorrow as part of our weekly check-in with the ACC opponent that Florida State's facing off with, Corey. And a lot of things I'm about to ask you is what I'm going to ask him. So, Larry, if you're listening, here's the interview for later today.
And you know he is.
Yeah. So, it's it's a very long column. I wish you would go this long sometimes, Corey, but you're more of a, brevity is the soul of wit kind of guy, which I dig.
Oh, man. Nobody's ever characterized my columns as having brevity, so I appreciate that, Aslan.
Okay. Well, relative to this tome from our guy Larry in Clemson.
Okay. Got it.
In November 22, Clemson beats Miami to make it a 40 consecutive victory streak in Death Valley. Since then, Clemson is 7-8 at Death Valley against power conference teams and has lost 6 straight. The only home victory was this season over Troy, which Clemson was down 16-0 at one point.
That's right.
So even if Clemson did win ACC titles in 2022 and 24, even if they did some impressive things in previous seasons, the decline is still obvious enough to wipe away or at least seriously undercut the one bad season premise. Not even a big fan of their playoff run last year, is Larry. It's just the way they're talking about Dabo and Clemson versus the way that, I don't know, we're talking about Mike. They're not too dissimilar, which is crazy because Dabo should have a lot more equity with his fan base than Mike Norvell has here in Tallahassee. But for some reason, if you wipe away the resumes and you just read the message boards and the way the fans are talking about it, you really can't tell which is the guy that won 2 national titles and in doing so beat maybe the best coach that's ever done it versus the guy that, has had really one fantastic season, one solid season, and a bunch of kind of forgettableness after that. How do you square that up, do you think?
Well, that's another thing when it comes to when you're making these decisions on coaches is when you look around the country, as I continually point out, there aren't a ton of fan bases that are happy with their coaches. There's only one, I think, left. Well, that's not probably true. There's a handful left that owe this kind of money. But nobody's happy. Nobody's happy. No, people were happy. People were happy with Jimbo for about 2.5 years. But remember, man, we all look back fondly on that 2012 team because it won an Orange Bowl and won 12 wins, won the ACC. People were irate with that man after the NC State game, especially the NC State game, but then also the Florida game. When he lost that NC State game, people, and again, I'm not comparing. This isn't for Norvell. This is Dabo. This is the Jimbo to Dabo comparison, not Jimbo to Norvell, because there's really no comparison there yet. They were irate with him, and a lot of people wrote him off. He's never going to win a big one. He's always going to choke in these moments. He's going to give away leads. His offense sucks. His offense chokes. They scored 0 in the second half, ranked number 3 in the country. This guy will never be the guy. And then the year after that, and they said this much after he lost to Florida later that year too, and kind of struggled to beat Georgia Tech in the championship game. I think they were up 21-0 and needed a stop at the end to win 21-15. People were done with him. The next year he had the best team in Florida State history and a national champion. It wasn't wire to wire, but should have been best team in the country all season. Yeah. And then they went undefeated the next season. So narratives can get flipped. What the people that make these decisions have to do, they can't get caught up in the narratives of me or you or Jeff or Ira. It's what are they seeing? What do they believe in? Obviously, with Dabo, the narrative isn't just it's the reality, man. What happened, and it reminded me of Jimbo a little bit at the end of his tenure, where you're like, well, they still went 9-3. They still got to play Houston in a bowl game, or they still beat Michigan in the Orange Bowl. Now it was Michigan without Jabril Peppers. True. We get it. It's crazy they even took the field without Jabril Peppers, but you still won the game and still counted. But you saw it slipping. You saw it slipping. And now part of me thinks Jimbo bounced because he could not turn it around. Part of me thinks he bounced for a lot of money, or he was mad at the boosters or whatever. Jimbo was never happy. He wanted to go somewhere else. But he left. And then it continued to slip and slide. And when you're a Clemson fan and you were a team that was the best program in the country, right? 2019, 2020?
Yeah.
From 2014 to 2020, it was them and Alabama. And there was no close third. It was those two teams. I think they won 2 national championships during that span. They lost one in the final seconds or on an onside kick, like against Alabama. They were awesome. And now you look at this, and it just reminds me of the end of the Jimbo. It reminds me of the end of Bowden, not the end of Bowden. When it started going bad for Bowden, he started saying, "Hey, look, we're really close to winning these games," as opposed to 5 years before where they never played any close games because they were blowing everybody out. So Clemson fans are right to feel frustrated because it isn't getting better. It continually gets worse. It was more of it felt more like a dip, like a 20-degree slide, and now it feels like it's a 180-degree slide straight down when you're losing these kind of games and you're having this kind of season again. So I don't know, man. But is Clemson going to fire him? What are they going to get that's better? He's got to make adjustments, though. And I know this isn't wake up Tigers. Yeah. But Dabo there's proof now, man. What you're doing isn't working. You have been lapped. You have been surpassed by the likes of Georgia Tech, Duke, Louisville,
SMU.
Virginia, SMU. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy that Clemson is in this point, just like it is with Florida State. The difference between Florida State and Clemson, from year to year anyway, is this team is better than last year's Florida State team. Still not nearly good enough. Clemson's team is getting worse, even though they were number 4 in the country to start the season. So there's some real trepidation there. I don't think Clemson fans want him fired. They'd like him to maybe not go off in the press conferences every time he loses a game and says, "Y'all are lucky to have me," essentially. But they'd like him to adjust. Norvell at least made adjustments. Now, it might not end up saving his job, but again, just when you look around the country, nobody's happy. Yeah. Nobody's happy.
Well, again, and I mentioned this a few times, and I'll ask Larry for the show tomorrow, but you mentioned Dabo needing to make changes. He did, though. If you go all the way back to the beginning of him, and again, sorry to make this wake up Tigers, everybody, but when he moved off guys like Napier and whoever else was on his staff to then bring in Chad Morris, and then after Chad Morris leaves, he's got Jeff Scott, Tony Elliott. They ride that thing out for a while. Like, he's got his whole, I'm going to promote from within. They end up taking head coaching jobs. He promotes from within. They don't have a good 21. They don't have a good 2022. He goes and gets Garrett Riley. And, so he's seeded he's gone and got the hot shot coordinator on offense. Last year, after the way they looked in the playoff game against Texas, gets rid of that coordinator, brings in Tom Allen, who just he was at Penn State. He was the Penn State defensive coordinator, goes and pulls him. So he has, if you want to talk about the portal component, that hasn't maybe totally evolved, but man, he has thrown everything he possibly can at this. And that's why I do wonder, what, I'm not advocating they fire the guy, but it's, you get to a point where what else can we do? I feel like Florida State's kind of at that point with what Mike has done. I want to read this one last part. Sweeney has said repeatedly that this is one bad year when seemingly everything that can go wrong does go wrong. That late flag certainly didn't help the case, but it's still a tough sell. So is the idea that last year was a great season by virtue of an ACC championship victory and a return to the playoffs. Sorry, but you can't have a great season when you lose at home to South Carolina, get throttled by Georgia, and let Louisville come into your place at night and run circles around you. And even in that playoff appearance, your defense was so awful that the guy in charge of it was owed $3 million when you got rid of him.
Yep.
It's just parallels, man. Parallels.
Yeah, yes, correct. There are some. I think the difference, though, is that, Norvell, he obviously has changed his coaching staff, but he's embraced the portal from day one. He doesn't recruit like Dabo. So if they could marry, if they could be on the same staff, holy cow, buddy. Norvell's good in the portal. Dabo's good on the recruiting trail with 17-year-olds and their parents. They'd be unstoppable. They'd be unstoppable. But now they're clearly both very, very stoppable. And, yeah, it goes back to what I was saying yesterday. I change from week to week or even hour to hour or segment to segment.
Corey the Chameleon Clark.
I'm just not in one. I am in the camp right now. I am on the side of that unless the season ends very well. I don't think he should come back. I don't think he will. But I also don't know if that's the right thing. I get it.
There is no guarantee. There is no guarantee he'll be better.
Not even that. And I know it's a tough sell to Florida State fans if you bring back a guy that went 6-6 after going 2-10. But if you give him a roster and keep this coaching staff intact and give him a badass quarterback, why wouldn't they win the ACC next year? He's done it. Why wouldn't we think he could? Where is your money better spent? This guy is not allergic to winning football games. He's also not allergic to losing streaks. So in this day and age, again, if this was 2012, he'd have been fired 9 months ago. But it's not. You can turn it around really quickly depending on roster evaluations and roster retention and roster additions. That's all still on the table, whether this guy is at the top of the chart or not.
Is there something that makes you think they'll have more resources to use on player acquisition next year? Because my understanding is
wouldn't they if they weren't paying him? Just by the very nature of you're saving money, whatever that would be. And I know they don't pay the $50 million all at once, but let's say they have to pay him $8 million next year, along with what Gus and Tony and all those other coaches. You're talking about $15 million probably that goes out the door to people that aren't in your program anymore. Wouldn't that $15 million, couldn't you go add that to the kitty you already have and go get some really good football players?
The guy that's got the $15 million doesn't want to spend the $15 million, but his options are to either get a new coach in here or I guess get better players. I don't know if it works that way anymore.
I don't either. But what would you do if you were going to give, if you had $5 million to give to the Florida State football team? Would you rather it go to pay Norvell, who has shown he can win games and has also shown he could be a complete disaster, but this year's not a disaster? Would you rather your $5 million go to paying him to leave, or him and his coaches to leave, or paying for an offensive line?
I'm probably paying for him to leave because if I'm giving $5 million, I've probably have given $10 million over the course of the last 5 seasons he's been here. And it's like, all right, man, that's enough. I'm giving you guys enough.
Now he's going to take my money. And now what? We don't get an offensive line? You go somewhere else for that?
Well, it's like
because I'm not giving you more money for that.
You know, is it like being in a bad marriage where you're going to stick it out because you don't want to write alimony checks? Like, I hate them. Or palimony. Like, I hate them.
Yes,
I'm miserable, but I don't want to lose my money. Like,
That's a great analogy. I get it. Yeah. I don't want to pay him or her, depending on who makes more money. I don't want to pay him to not be my husband anymore.
Right.
That's crazy. I get why, but what if there was some really good times too, and there was the possibility that it would be Nirvana again, and you would just be in love again. Like you could see some signs. Oh man, look at the way she had kind of a gleam in her eye when she just looked at me. I just made her smile. Oh, look at that outfit. Like there are some things that you're seeing that are like, okay, that reminds me of some better times, or that makes me think that things could get better. She's laughing at my jokes again. Yeah. Maybe I'll hang on for another 6 months and see if we can ride this out. I don't know. Again, that's what makes this so complicated. I don't think I think it's crazy that LSU did what they did, to me personally, because I think Brian Kelly is a fine coach. He's also a huge jerk. And I think it was crazy that Penn State did what they did. I just think that's nuts. But they might be smarter than all of us. I guess we'll see in 2 years if they're back in the semifinals of the college football playoff. So I don't know, man. And then I think, I saw somebody tweet, my mind's all over the place. I saw somebody tweet that they think by 2027 there's a very, very good chance, and it's somebody I respect, that the playoffs will be like 24 teams. If the playoffs are 24 teams, you're telling me you don't think Mike Norvell next year, you don't think Mike Norvell could have a team that's in contention for that?
Who couldn't?
Just talking about safety. Right.
Who wouldn't have a team at Florida State, one of the 24 best teams? Jimbo Fisher would have made the playoff every single year, If
he's capable of it. If you believe in your heart of hearts that he actually can put together a winning football team. Not that he will, but he can. It's in him. We all know it's in him. We've seen it. If you think that's a possibility, is it worth a $50 million risk to say, I want to go get another possibility? No. But I will say this, because again, now it seems like trust me, wait till Monday's show, everyone, if they go and lose at Clemson. I'm calling it. I'm calling my shot. But it sounds like I'm arguing for him to stay. I'm not. I'm just saying there's just more nuance and gray when it comes to making this kind of change if you end up having an okay season. Certainly not what you wanted, certainly not what we expected after a 3-0 start, but if you end up having an okay season, there is more to it than just fire his ass. Bring somebody else in who might be good, who might not be good. Like, there have been some building blocks. There are some better players. The coaching staff, I think, is better. They got a cool football facility. So there have been improvements in the Florida State football program, and it's like, okay, next year at this time, could they be good enough to beat Virginia?
They were
with
good
Mike
enough this
Norvell
year
as
to
the
beat
coach?
Virginia.
I know, and they blew it. Did he blow it, or could Tommy Castellanos not throw a pass on a screen pass to Sawchuk? They win that game in overtime if he can make that throw. That is a walk-in touchdown. He throws it at his feet. Also, it's not Tommy Castellanos' fault that he's here.
That, and also, I don't know if Tommy Castellanos will ever make a throw as nice as he did to Randy Pittman to get that game into overtime. So
great.
It's like,
and also, you were kind of lucky to be in overtime. Absolutely. Also, it's not Tommy's fault that you had to go get him out of the portal because you can't recruit a quarterback. These are all. That's why I just don't think it's
not
black
easy.
and white.
I know. That's why we're having people. That's why people are listening every single day, because they want us to kind of cut through all of it.
And they also don't know what side I'm going to take, which is awesome. I'll keep you guys on your toes. Tomorrow I'm going to say lifetime contract for him. I believe in this guy.
I believe in Corey Clark and his ability to pick winners, even though I don't know the final of the Monday night pick'em that we did over at Underdog Fantasy Sports. Download that app today and sign with promo code WARCHANT to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. We're going to wait later on the week to get some of the Florida State things out here. on the board, Corey. But we got a lot of national games, quarterbacks. We should do this like, Quarterback Tuesday, but that doesn't really roll off the tongue. Which, by the way, mailbag will be done for you folks on Friday. But anyhow, let's get to it, Corey. I want you to pick 3 quarterbacks. So we got Mendoza, Gunnar Stockton, Julian Sayin. All we have are passing yards to go off of. Okay. Marcel Reed from A&M, Oregon's quarterback Dante Moore, your boy Diego Pavia, Ty Simpson, DJ Lagway. Or do you want me to give you the lower numbers because then that make like Pavia's 210.5 versus Auburn at home. Auburn just got rid of their head coach, their defensive coordinator, their interim head coach.
DJ Durkin.
Correct.
Auburn's got a really good defense.
They do.
I don't think I'd say under, high, lower.
Lower? Okay.
Yeah, lower on that. Yeah.
Your guy, Fernando Mendoza, they're going Indiana into Happy Valley to take on Penn State. We'll be in Death Valley. They'll be in the Happy Valley. 244.5 passing yards.
Under. Lower.
Your boy Gunnar Stockton or Julian Sayin for Ohio State. Ohio State's at Purdue. 274.5 for Sayin. Georgia's in Starkville taking on the Mississippi State Bulldogs. 237.5 is his number. That's a noon game.
I would say higher for Sayin.
Going higher on 274.
Yeah, because I think they're trying to make him the Heisman winner, which is just a travesty. Does anybody think he's the best player on that team? I mean, Good grief. Yeah. Not in the country, on his own team. And right now, he might end up being awesome. But come on, man. He threw for 90 yards against Texas, and now he's going to win the Heisman. But they're trying to get him the Heisman, I guess. He does have some really good wide receivers. And they're going to try to score 100 points. So I'm gonna say he's higher.
Folks, those 3, just 3. If you get all 3 right, 6-1 payout, or you can do the flex. You can do the flex, which allows you 1 mulligan, if you will. It's still a 3-1 payout. Underdog, man, they've got it figured out. Download the app today. Sign with promo code WARCHANT to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code WARCHANT. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog. Make picks. Win money. Underdog Fantasy Sports must be 18 or older, 19 or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, 21 and older in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. The following message is brought to you by BetterHelp. Tell you what, stop with this clock moving nonsense that might change over my political affiliation. I'm half kidding, but also the time change makes these days darker and longer, and life keeps moving along fast. And as busy as ever with the holidays approaching, I hope you're doing well. Let's check in on our friends and make sure they are as well. BetterHelp can help. BetterHelp has assembled quality therapists, and they're committed to matching you with the right therapist so that you can meet your goals. This month, don't wait to reach out. Whether you're checking in on a friend or reaching out to a therapist yourself, BetterHelp makes it easier to take that first step. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/warchant. That's betterhelp.com/warchant. It's Wake Up Warchant. We're back, presented by Vitamin Energy, Warchant BOGO, the promo code. In the spirit of Seminole headlines going down today at 1 to 3 o'clock, in the previous segment, Corey, you mentioned about, it's hard to, you felt maybe that Jimbo was losing steam towards the end, right? Like the 3 loss seasons, right? It wasn't just one. It was 3 losses. It was losing to Carolina. It was losing to Georgia Tech. It was losing to teams that, let's be honest, like you didn't have a lot of business losing to. And, I can plead ignorance or youth, right? Because you've got age and wisdom on me. But, you guys...
And beauty.
Touche. I remember listening to a lot of the programs on headlines, and like you, especially Jeff, would just hammer everything after the Louisville game and the promissory notes, right? Like the promise that we're going to play. And you guys never explicitly said like it was over, right? I don't think anybody really said it was over until I think maybe Boston College 2017, which at that point was like, yeah, man, we see it. Like, we don't need to call this fire into the fire station. They can see it from 10 miles away. We get it. I think people I don't calling the shop. I think that's what people are kind of hoping to get out of reading warchant.com right now, listening to the JCS, listening to this program, listening to headlines, is being able to see a few steps ahead of what's going to happen. And if this doesn't work out, if it ends up being 1-2 in the next 3 games, or they got four games left? They got four games left.
Yeah.
So if it's 2-2, 1-3, that's obviously going to kind of make things, apparent, but it's going to be what happened well before that, right? It's going to be Stanford. Maybe it's even previous to Stanford, because Jimbo, and again, in hindsight, we should have probably known in 2016 when you got your doors blown off against Louisville in that fashion, that you were not going to ever be able to get back to where you wanted to be. Is that too hard of an ask for like you 3 guys with your big brains? And that sounds facetious, but like you guys have been covering this program in particular for so long. Is it too hard of an ask to have you 3 guys come up with kind of like a clear vision of what this is going to end up looking like or playing out like?
You mean just for this season?
No, I mean this
like
coaching staff. You covered that staff for you guys were all together, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, you guys were here for the entire Jimbo tenure.
Yes,
I mean, you were here for Jimbo as OC too. I mean, you got here, I think, Jimbo's first year as OC.
Yes.
So you knew. I mean, like you knew what he was about, what his teams looked like, what were the warning signs probably. Especially now in hindsight, you can analyze it quicker. But like having gone through that, I would hope as scribes, journalists would be able to make you guys kind of connect some of the dots quicker than a lot of the rest of us out there, and quicker than guys like Peter Collins and Michael Alford, maybe. Not that you're getting paid like them, but
I think that would have been helpful 15 months ago. Like nobody saw 2024 coming, and that's on us. Not just us. It's on Mike Norvell more than anything. But that's where he lost this program, right? Like if he'd had this season, last season, he'd have been fine. He wouldn't be on a hot seat. You know what I mean? He would have been 4-4 after 13-0. He'd in all 4 of the losses by 1 score. People would be like, "Oh, he's just got a little unlucky, but he's a really good coach." But he didn't, and so now there doesn't take any foresight to know that when you put together this run that he's put together. But I think the difference with Jimbo is that Jimbo, it's just a different sport now. He was recruiting at such a high level there for a while, at number 1 class, number 3 class, number 4 class. And he had great players, NFL players, maybe a couple Hall of Fame NFL players that he was recruiting. The slippage was it wasn't Mike just fell through the ice. Like just fell through the ice straight to the cold water. Like Jimbo, there were little cracks showing up. And then finally, and I remember Jeff always saying, man, if he keeps going 9-3, they're going to run him out of here. I'm like, man, nobody's getting run out of any school for going 9-3. Maybe John Cooper, but at Ohio State back in the day, but nobody's getting run out. And I was right. I mean, you can't take that kind of winning for granted. But when you have a 29-game winning streak, and then all of a sudden you're losing 2, 3, 4 games a year, it's not a great look. And you can see the slippage, and you see the cracks, and then it finally just busted open in 2017, really when he lost Francois. And he gets kind of, he lost Francois, he lost his starting quarterback, but why was his backup 2 true freshmen? He didn't prepare well there. Malik Henry was a bust, and a big one. And so that's all on Jimbo, and he just the program had slipped significantly. Here, I just think I think weirdly, I think the DNA and the culture of the program, I think it is better. I think they do believe in their coach more. Truly, I do. I think they like their coach more. I think at times when you consider the talent, they play harder for this coach than they played for Jimbo. So, but the problem is the players aren't as good. I know I'm not answering your question, but I don't think there's anything to like you look inside the program and you're like, okay, this is the sign that it's over. I think it's what we see on Saturday. And again, when it goes back to Palo Alto, that was when it ended for me. In the short term, I'm still hanging on, barely. But that I think that said everything, right? Like that said everything. And it's not just that you lost to Stanford. It's how you looked in that game compared to how you started the season, and how that is a continued refrain for this coach, this particular head coach. That the team seems to get worse as the season goes along. That's a weird trait to have, and not a good one. But I don't. that's what I was saying on the Warchant wrap, and I said a little bit yesterday. Is like I don't try to get caught up into they quit, or they're not playing hard for him, or his message has gone stale. I don't. Sometimes you're not good enough, or you have some bad play calls, and the guys don't execute. The problem is you're at Florida State. It shouldn't come down to 1 or 2 plays against Virginia. It shouldn't come down to 1 or 2 plays against Pitt or Stanford, for God's sake. That's the issue. I don't think that's a message thing. I think overall it's just not recruiting at a high enough level that if you can't have a defensive line that showed up against Stanford for some of those drives. It just gets pushed around. That's on the coach. That's on the development and the evaluation skills. But, they do have some young dudes that might be good. And I know I'm not even answering your question. We'll see how we talk about it on headlines. Hopefully more articulate than this. But I just think that in this day and age, I don't understand why in the NFL we never talk about, like, who's the coach of the Packers? LaFleur?
Yeah, Matt LaFleur.
Did they just not play hard for him this week? They lost to the Panthers at home as like 13-point favorites.
Fitzy.
Yeah, by the way, absolutely. That's a tough kick, a 49-yarder in that kind of win. And old Fitzy hits his second game winner. He's had a really nice rookie season. But, we don't talk about how he connects with his players. It's decisions and schematics typically, right?
Right.
In playing smart and playing intelligent. But for some reason with college football, maybe with this college football program in particular, we care too much about feelings and how they feel about their coach.
Yep.
Like, I can promise you Clemson's players like Dabo a lot more than LSU's players liked Brian Kelly. But one team won that game. Did they just care more? Did the message resonate more? Or did maybe they have better players?
Yeah, did they look over to the sideline? Did they look over to the sideline and see Brian Kelly like, come on, 1 more %?
Give it to me. Give it to me. I got you, coach.
Meanwhile, they looked at Dabo like, I can't believe I got to look at that guy's face.
That stupid hat. Oh, that dumb sweater he always wears.
But again, maybe even more so than the actual performance on the field in terms of the scoreboard, the most stark, crazy transformation over the bye week was, again, like guys coming off the field, bad body language, head coach exacerbating it even more, other outlets reporting that, players are almost seemingly mocking the head coach. Tony White didn't really maybe give the most full defense of Mike Norvell and the way he handled it. So to go from that to, Earl was like, listen, first off, before we start this thing, I got my coach's back. I love that guy. I know there's people to go. That to me is almost the most.
Where was that?
Yeah.
Right. And where was that in Palo Alto? Where was it? Could have used it. Your coach, if you care that much about your coach, could have used it in Palo Alto. It's awesome they played like they had at home. Let's see how they play on the road. But yeah, right. Like it's. Why did it take a bye week to figure that out? Why was the sideline better for Wake than it was for Pitt in Stanford? You only get 12 of these. Shouldn't it be the same for all of them? Like, what changed? So yeah, again, another indictment of the inconsistency that has troubled all of us.
And can you keep going to the well on this too? I think because that to me, again, this kind of goes to your point about in no other level of football really are we talking about the buy-in and the trust of the coach and that sort of stuff.
How much they pour in and all that. It's like they're supposed to. They're pros.
Yeah, just can you keep going to the well on that? Like, is that something you can – because that to me felt like not that they're going to roll over by any stretch. They're going to still, I think, try to practice hard, try to continue on those habits. But – I mean, when it's a 7:30 kickoff at Clemson, and if they go down the field and they score on their first drive, and you guys go 3 and out, like, can you? And Mike's going to be hit. Mike's going to be Mike. Mike's going to still go and tell everybody one play at a time. We control momentum, like focus. Like, but can you continually hit that, speed booster or whatever when you're playing a video game? Like, you get limited. Like, you can't just keep hitting the boost button every single time. You got to wait. You got to wait a few seconds after you keep replenishing it. I just wonder if they can continue to do that for 4 more games, 3 of them on the road.
Do we think they won that game and played so well because their body language was better and they were more bought in, or was it because deuce is deuce? You threw it up to them a few times. Wake Forest, you got lucky with a couple of big plays called back. They fumbled 6 times. You had a pick because James Williams showed up. Did James Williams show up because he believed more this week than last week, or he just actually played better?
Yeah, but doesn't that go back to they practiced harder because they knew their coach was under fire? Like they wanted to play harder, they wanted to practice better.
I guess I don't buy that, man. Yeah. I think they're a good practice team. I think they've always practiced hard. I really do think he likes this team. He stopped saying that stuff about last year's team pretty quickly, about how hard they played and how much he loves them and how much he I do think they love the way this team practices. I think the thing they can't say is we've got some limitations. Roster-wise, we've got some limitations. That's why we love how hard they still continue to practice. Even when they're told how bad they are, they still show up and go to work each day. Because what's not said is, even though they know a lot of them are this is the last time they're going to play competitive football. They're not good enough to play at the next level. That's something that has to change. Yes, it's nice that they care about their coach. It is nice that they play hard for their coach. Or played hard against Wake, and they do show up and go to work. Even at the butt crack of dawn, they show up or practice with the Roosters. It is commendable. But, I think they beat Wake because Wake had a horrible quarterback. Florida State did play well, played clean, didn't have critical mistakes and critical penalties or critical turnovers. I don't think it was how much they poured into it during the week. I don't buy that as much. I just don't think it's almost. I don't know why that bothers me so. It just started bothering me so much in that post-game press conference where me among us, was asking them about the buy-in and how much they still believed. It's like, man, they just played well. Like when a pitcher spins an eight-inning, 2-hit shutout. Did he believe more that week? Did he believe more in that start, or did he just have his stuff working that day? Sometimes you can just chalk it up to they played well, and they got a few breaks because the other team didn't. And the problem is against Pitt, the defense was horrible the whole game. They did not play well. I don't think it's that they didn't believe in Norvell or didn't care about him. They just didn't play well, or they weren't coached well. Let me put it that way. Their zone was 50 yards too far downfield. Just craziness, the amount of space open in the middle of that zone. They made some adjustments schematically, it seems like, to me. And they played better on offense, and they hit some big plays that they were not hitting against Stanford. So, I don't know. And Sam Singleton was a nice difference.
Yeah. Sammy!
So maybe it's just that, man. And so if they go and beat Clemson, or let's say if they lose to Clemson, do we then say, man, they gave up? They're not good. Or maybe they just got beat. They played hard. They played as hard as they could play. They're just not great. And the other team played hard and played well, played a little bit better, and they lost.
But will we say –
as we move forward –
Go ahead, my bad.
I was going to say, as we move forward in assessing this program, what you have to ask yourself and wonder is my biggest concern, as everybody knows because I've been beating this dead horse, the quality of your roster isn't good enough to consistently perform well. It just isn't. You're not going to consistently win games when you have a decent to good roster, but not a great roster. And that goes for any team in the country. If you just have a decent to good roster, like, say, SMU, you're going to win some good games. They beat Clemson and Miami in the same month. Yep. And then also in the middle lost to Wake. That's college football. If you don't have a great elite roster, those dips and valleys are going to happen. At Florida State, you should go get yourself an elite great roster and get somebody here that can bring in elite players. Otherwise, you're going to be the SMUs and the Virginias of the world. And now I know everybody wants to be Virginia this year. Go check their record the last 3 years. You're still ahead as a Florida State fan. Barely, but you are. So that I want them to take another step. And that when I look at Norvell and assess, it's like, do I believe that he can get them to the level where they are consistently in the top 12 or 15 of the country? And they have enough talent to withstand a bad performance or a lethargic performance. Because right now they don't at all. Or withstand a performance where they don't play well, where they have their C- game overall. There are some pitchers that when they have their C- stuff, they still give you 5 1/3 and give up 3 runs and give you a chance. I think this team is that. When they've had their C-minus stuff, they've still given you a chance. You just haven't made the plays when you needed to make the plays. It would be really nice that if you had great pitchers, their C-minus stuff is still, 7 innings, 2 runs, 8 strikeouts, 2 walks. You know what I mean? Just not average performance, but a little bit above. You can beat the bad teams. You can still get outs against bad teams, and that's what I'd like to see this program become again. Because you mentioned Jimbo. In 2015, there were plenty from, let's say, 14 to 16, really. There were plenty of games where they didn't play well. Most games, I would say.
Yeah, remember the whole thing was they started slow. Other than that Boston College game, which they won 14-0. They constantly started slow, but it was a guy where they're winning enough. And
because he had acquired a lot of talent. I don't know that they were exceptionally coached on game days. I don't think they were schematically great. I don't think Charles Kelly was a genius. You don't either. And I don't think Jimbo is a genius offensive coordinator. But they had enough talent they could withstand their C-minus games. Be cool to get back there. And then occasionally, when you have an A game, those are the real fun ones. Like Indiana gets to do every week. Flip in Indiana. Hey, by the way, before we go, it is the dawn of a new era at the Civic Center tonight. Yep. Just want to get that out.
Noles taking on Alcorn State. Get out there. This is going to be a fun team, everybody. They're going to let it fly. Just 6 seconds. Get it out. Shoot it.
Yeah,
7 p.m. game.
The people that don't know, I'll give you a quick rundown. It's their season opener. Obviously, Luke Laux played here from 2009 to 12. I covered his entire tenure. Saw him lose to Boise. Saw him lose in Boise in the first round of the tournament to Wisconsin. A tough loss in overtime. And then he finished his career by winning the ACC championship. So covered that whole thing. He's obviously a new head coach. I've gotten to watch them practice 4 or 5 times. Got to watch them scrimmage. They all shoot it. Now, some shooters are clearly better than others. I think Kobe McGee, Martin Somerville, those are probably the 2 best shooters, I think. Maybe LaRajay Jones. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. He's number 10. He's a good shooter. But they all shoot it. Chauncey Wiggins, who came from Clemson, a big, 6'10". Shoots the heck out of the ball. Yeah, A.J. Swinton's more of a slasher. I don't think you'd call him one of the best shooters. But the best player is Robert McCray. He's number 6. He's got long hair. He averaged, I think, 18 a game at Jacksonville 2 years ago, averaged 16.5 at Jacksonville last year. He is an impossible-to-guard number 2, swing guard, combo guard. He's not big, so I'd say he's an off guard. I don't know if he's not going to run point, but he is really, really fast and athletic, and he is a natural scorer. And they've surrounded him with some guys that can really shoot, and they are going to go. They want to lead the country in 3-point attempts per game, and they do want to go. They want to run and run and run. They drill it to death. They drill it to death about getting into the paint and finding a good 3. It doesn't even have to be a perfect shot. They want a good open 3 for their shooters, and they are not going to be afraid to pull the trigger, and they hopefully will be a lot of fun to watch. It's a first year. Obviously, there's going to be some growing pains. And Luke's never been a head coach before. But, they do seem to have some nice pieces.
And Allure Malouk.
Even if they don't win a lot. Yeah, him too. I don't know how much he's going to play because they got other guys that are bigs as well. But he's going to play. I think they're going to run 9 or 10 deep at least. And everybody on the court, literally everyone, I think, will be shooting threes. So it's going to be really interesting. So his debut is tonight. And like I said, he was nice enough to let me watch a few practices. Brady got to watch a few practices.
Right.
And it's
I saw
really,
some practice.
really fun.
I saw practice.
Yeah.
I was there.
So, they run a lot.
LaJah Jones is a 1 seed when it comes to pronunciation spelling. So the phonetic spelling for him, are you ready, Corey? So his name is spelled Lajae.
Jae. Okay, all right.
The pronunciation phonetically spelled out as Luh, la, dash, Zhah. And then parenthetically says soft G. I guess Jah, yeah, Zhah. LaJah Jones.
Okay.
LaJah Jones. There we go. We figured it out, everybody. We did it. Or maybe he's not a 1 seed, but he's a top line.
That's a tough one. Yeah, he's good too, man. He might lead them in rebounding. He's 6'7", long, left-handed. They got 3 lefties that shoot. Yeah, man, they're going to be It's gonna be entertaining if nothing else. But I don't want to be dismissive and say add that if nothing else as if they have no chance to win. It's college basketball, man. These teams turn around really quickly. They're all brand new, except for Swinton and Alir Malik. They're all brand new on the team. They all came from other places: Jacksonville, St. Bonaventure, Drexel, UMass Lowell, Clemson. They're from all over the map. But they seem to like each other. They seem to play hard, and they really, really like to shoot threes.
Tough loss by the women's soccer team on Sunday, which we didn't get to in the show yesterday.
Gonna need you to stop one of the PKs.
Yeah.
Gonna need you to stop one. We can't let a team. Florida State made all 5 of their PKs, but then so did Virginia. And credit to Virginia, it wasn't like, they were really, most of them were good shots. They were top shelf with authority. But she got her hand on 1 or 2 of them and still didn't get them out. You got to, because here's the deal, Aslan. Probably going to come down to PKs at some point in the NCAA tournament. Going to need the goalie, the keeper. I was hoping she would at least get 1 or 2 blocks under her belt to have a little more confidence when it comes to that.
All right. Well said. There you go. A little bit of everything. How was baseball on Friday, by the way? Since let's just talk about everything.
Let's get it all out of the way. Miles Bailey hit 2 home runs. I'm going to give you a name. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Brady's big fan of his. He's a freshman outfielder named Steitzer.
Okay,
I
John. I think
Stutzer.
it's John.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's Stutzer or Steitzer. But so Ira's the one that texted us and basically said, I'm not trying to bring race into it, but I'm gonna. I think he said he's the fastest white kid I've ever seen. Okay. Something to that effect. That's probably not right, so don't pin that on Ira. That's me saying that. But Brady looked him up, and he ran a 6.360, or he was timed at that as in high school, which is blazing. That's like Chase Williams fast, like fast. So he's got that speed, and then in the Garnet Gold game on Friday, I think he went 4 for 4. He might have gone 3 for 4, but he hit a home run at 107 miles off the bat. Every other ball he hit was 105 or more off the bat, including one that went 113. He's a freshman that runs like the wind. He's not a big kid, but runs like the wind and hits the ball like that. Like, I didn't ever see him not hit a barrel. And then Paulino, another freshman, has a really impressive swing. And he was supposed to be a pretty highly coveted kid coming out of, I think he was like I think Steitzer might have been like the number 40 prospect in the country. Paulino might have been 80 or 90 according to Perfect Game. They're both they both really impressed me just with how hard they hit it in the barrel, because they consistently hit the barrel. And then the Dowd kid from USC, who I think is going to be their leadoff hitter and starting outfielder. I don't know if he'll be in center or not, but he hits the crap out of the ball too. To go along with Miles Bailey, who hit 2 home runs, and Hunter Carnes, who was like the Cape Cod All-Star Player of the Year. They got some guys.
Chase Williams, B.J. Gibson. They got some athleticism back there.
Cal Fisher. Don't sleep on Cal Fisher, who still turns his back to the pitcher even in warm-up game, in exhibition games. It was one time, it was funny. He turned to face the crowd after a pitch, or looked into the crowd, and this woman just started waving at him because she thought he was looking at him. That's Cal Fisher. That's the life of – maybe she knew Cal Fisher. I don't think so. But that's just the life of watching Cal Fisher, because he will turn his back to the pitcher and look right into the back of the home plate stands.
All right, there you go, man. A little soccer, a little baseball, a little hoops, a lot of football. We'll do more football for you folks tomorrow on the show. Again, we'll have Larry Williams from Tiger Illustrated to help us figure out what's going on in Death Valley and what we should expect. And we've got Seminole headlines, everybody. 1 to 3 o'clock. Yep. Jeff Cameron, Corey Clark, Ira Schofel, in no particular order. Tune in, Warchant TV, 93.3 FM if you're in your car in the Big Bend area as well. It's on a podcast feed. Go check it out, everybody. We'll get, I don't even know what our assistant coach is this week, but we're going to get an assistant coach from football and some players later on this morning. Check out warchant.com for the summary from that. We'll talk to you folks tomorrow. Have a great one, everybody. He's Corey Maslin. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com, warchantbogo, your promo code.